Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. I'm Afefe with Touched by Tarot and Beyond. If you're new to the channel, I'm glad you're here. I'm got a little bit of a scratchy throat. I think you all, I'm just like many of you, just really stressed out right now. The times that we're living in. Not even, I'm going in a different direction with today's reading, you all. I've been in meditation this morning. I am dressed in black, as I know, many of you understand that and will be. I'm taping this early Sunday morning, Thursday, goodness. I'm taping this early Sunday morning. I told you I'm out of whack, but I'm here. We're gonna get it done. I'm taping this early Sunday morning, the 19th. I absolutely will not be on social media tomorrow, the 20th. I'm doing a serious blackout, like many of you are as well, I'm sure. But I did want to check in with you all. Yesterday and this morning, looking at the People's March. Talked about that a little bit in one of my videos, I think within the last week, but was following, different cities, certainly DC and different cities. And it was very, very heartwarming. No, it wasn't millions of people. First of all, to withstand and brave the cold in DC, didn't expect that. And other places around the country. But the fact that the march was organized, that people did show up by the tens of thousands, that there was a very, forcible presence and messaging that went out, and a collective sense of, this solidarity that I think many of us really needed to see and gather ourselves around spiritually and psychically, energetically, whether or not we were able to attend a march. So that felt really good. Spirit also said, and I wrote this down, January 20th, the content of our character. I know that many people are also very aware of the fact that, tomorrow is when we celebrate ML King Jr. Day. And so a lot of people have decided, I'm going to focus my energy on what I am celebrating, what I do really stand for. The other thing that Spirit gave me, you all, is remember, while the Democratic Party is taking a gut punch, if we are to believe, and I know that's a great big if, we are to believe that the election was what it was, big if, big question, I get it, before you all go off in the comments. Still, that said, there's a prevailing sentiment and reporting that 1.5%, was no landslide, 1.5%, right? And so thinking about the People's March, thinking about the content of our character, thinking about so many of us who are involved politically, who watch these kinds of readings on this platform and others, that there is no need to retreat or feel defeated or feel cheated even necessarily, although I get it. Look, I'm showing up in my black, got my dark lipstick on and everything. I'm there with you. I'm fighting a cold because I know my stress levels. Like there's a sadness, and I get that. And I'm certainly feeling that right along with so many of you. But I am also, Spirit, my guides are like, do not lose faith. Do not lose hope. When we talk about someone like a Martin Luther King Jr. and so many others, he as a figurehead did not carry the civil rights movement. That too was tens of thousands of people, all races, all areas of the country and the world for that matter, who came together, right? Against tremendous odds. There is, on a spiritual level, there is a lot of energy that is still within us and around us and among us, is what Spirit is saying. And so I'm just here today to give a message on the content of our character, staying focused on that 1.5% to the extent that we even have to go there and think about that and begin to accept that as a reality. That was so there are so many people who do believe in equality, in freedom, in justice, in women's rights, in racial equality, all of it. And we cannot let the constant deluge daily of headlines, boom, 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 disaster, 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 chaos, 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 become our reality, because then of course we're going to be like, you know what, middle finger to it all, I'm not doing it anymore. So that said, I'm here today to give you all, going to keep this taping short. I am here, Spirit let me, I want to give you all a reading on what Spirit is saying, to think of going forward, sort of a way to recalibrate, think about how to maintain your mental, physical, spiritual well-being while staying engaged and aware politically. All right. First thing I'm led to is to give, I know many of us are into animal totems and we connect to animals, whether we have pets, whether we just understand the animal kingdom as something that, you know, we're connected to, and very often makes us feel safe, makes us feel connected to Spirit and tuned in. So gonna go to Spirit on that. Spirit, what will help people during this time? What animal spirit or spirits, I'm being told to pull two, what animal spirits will help people during this time? The content of our character, understanding that there is so much ahead of us. We're going to be okay. We have to stay engaged. We have to stay strong. What animal spirit will help during this time? Or spirits, I'm being told to pull two. There's one, and here's the second one. All right, I have the elk, nobility. Celebrate your accomplishments with humility. You are crowned with success. Powerful forces guide you. Your ability to conquer challenges is limitless. Let me hold that up for you. So, the elk. Think about the elk as an animal totem during this time. Think about nobility. Think about keeping your heads raised high, and the strength of your character, the content of your character, thinking about MLK, right, Junior. So that, and I love the part where it said, powerful forces guide you. Do not for one moment get angry at, and trust me, I'm right there with you. Like, I have been looking like, guys, can you throw me a bone? Like, you know, can you throw me a bone? Can you give me something that's going to stick the landing and feel celebratory for us? And I think this is a message that the guides are saying, do not give up, stand high, you know, stand strong, stand noble. Stand in your character, in the content of your character. And the second animal that we got really interesting is the lynx. And it says, keeper of secrets. Take time out from the world and be the observer. Wow. Isn't that where a lot of us are right now? That's where we need to be. Not disengaging, but observe, right? Nothing can deceive you when you trust your knowledge. Woo! All that chaos coming at us, all that clickbait, all those headlines, all that misinformation. Nothing can deceive you when you trust your knowledge, right? You see other secrets and keep them sacred. In silence and solitude, you will find your strength. There is a need, this solidarity, this sense of an innate understanding that we have, human to human, you know, person to person, across class, across geography, across countries, across continents. There is this understanding. So think about lynx medicine. All right, for those of you who are into animal totems as well. Now I'm going to go to tarot. And I'm asking specifically, what guidance, Spirit, what is a message for people going forward in these next short term? I'm feeling short term. The next 60 to 90 days. What do they need to know? The next 60 to 90 days that will help them through this time, through this difficult transition, through they're also saying there are other events that are happening. You know, this isn't about just resigning ourselves to the worst that could possibly be. There is going to be pushback. There is going to be momentum. There is going to be a reignition or reigniting of the Democratic Party, even if that means that party needs to shift and become and morph into something else, i.e. our AOCs of the world, our Cory Booker's of the world, our who's the Republican? He spoke at the Adam something, Kissinger. You know who I'm talking about, Adam. He came out forcefully. Like, there are people who are gathering together Party ideology aside, it's about humanity. There is going to be more of that, you all. Don't give up for 1 second thinking that we will witness that in the coming time. Sooner rather than later. All right, we have the Six of Wands. I love it. Victory, right? Using a Rider-Waite deck. Victory. And I also, I've said this before, other readers have said it as well. I think it's something astrological. This is a timing element. That 6, I think, is representing June, even though I'm asking for a 60 to 90 day outlook. But Spirit is saying, keep your eye on June. Something around that, starting that second half of the year after the eclipses in the spring. There's something that shifts the tide, whether that is in fact new leadership that begins to emerge. But there's something King of Cups. Be aware. And typically I would see that as Joe Biden because he's a Scorpio. But that's not Joe Biden because I'm looking forward. If anything, it could be someone who begins to revamp or reignite some of the progress and some of the economic progress and policies that have been accomplished under the Biden administration and just never given the proper credit, never given its just due. So it could be that, but I also feel like that could be absolute new leadership that comes in that guise. And here comes the Emperor. I want to take a look at his energy because that's either who, or that is, I often see him as the Emperor in a more negative connotation. But I want to see, is this a new leader? Someone who is identified as a new leader. The Chariot. Yes, that's what Spirit is saying. The Chariot and the Emperor. Someone who is willing to come forward and push the envelope and deliver a message that the people are going to be able to hear and ready to hear. It's not so much about aggression. It's not so much about this constant fight, but it's about someone who is able to come forth and deliver messaging and something in their essence, in their character, speaks to maturity. It speaks to what the messaging that the majority of us need to hear. Keeping in mind, thank you, Spirit, keeping in mind that by that time, as we tick off these months, a lot of people who voted his way, knowing in their gut that it wasn't right, but they just thought, price of eggs, price of bacon, price of gas, blah, blah, blah. They voted their so-called wallets, right? When they see their wallets have not changed, that's going to pave the way for this Emperor and Chariot energy. Chariot also representing that June time frame. Chariot was ruled by Cancer. So there is definitely something happening, you all. I think between April and June that we're going to see new leadership evolve. We're going to hear a messaging that comes across that people are going to start to feel re-engaged and reactivated. Spirit, what else? We have a Five of Wands. There's some inner resistance to it, and the Page of Wands. I get it. There's a little resistance to it because there's almost like people are like, been there, done that, all that joy, all this getting my hopes up, all this, all being all in only to wind up feeling like I'm getting shoved out, right? That's some of that conflict that we have there in that Five of Wands. But the Page of Wands says that's okay. It's to be expected. Understand that and keep doing it anyway, right? Keep going anyway. That's the bottom line. We're going to face those contentions. We're going to face that doubt. We're going to have some interesting conversations in our circles. There's going, but I think we should do it this way. No, we should do it that way. No, we've always done it that way. We got to do it. There's going to be that tit for tat. But ultimately, that's a healthy dialogue, Spirit is saying. That's a healthy dialogue that needs to be had. And it's ultimately going to pave the way. That, going back to that Chariot, is going to pave the way over. Remember, the Chariot doesn't have necessarily a smooth road. The Chariot is the ability to get over the obstacles. So over any doubts, argument, over any contention, over the competing ideas of how to get people re-engaged, because they're going to be ready when they realize that so much of this is incredibly slanted towards wealth, the wealthy, the quote-unquote oligarchs. Didn't you find that really interesting that we heard that once Biden in his speech, you came straight out and talked about the, the cautions and the warnings about an emerging oligarchy in America, that the Google searches for the word skyrocketed, right? You think about that in the context of how long did we hear that messaging in so many words coming out through Kamala Harris while she was on the campaign trail, right? Kamala Harris and so many others. How long have we heard about that coming? And yet, on the night of Joe Biden's speech, everyone takes to the internet to look that term up to say, oh, wait a minute, what is that? And what is, like, people did not want to listen, but people are going to start listening. And when their eyes are opened, watch. There will be a tide that turns. And that's what I think our guide, the content of our character. What are we really made of when our backs are against a wall? Ideologically and otherwise. Economically and certainly politically. Right? What are we made of? All right, you all. A couple more cards and I'm going to take this down. I didn't want to go too long today. Letter, a note, a text message, and invitations. That's the way that we're going to be. It's pointing to the way that we're going to start reigniting our communications with one another. And I also have the father figure. That's interesting. Protection and teaching. This is, so much of what we're dealing with right now is around the idea of power and masculinity. And some would call it toxic masculinity, justifiably so. So there's the father. I think this is on two levels. Spirit is reminding me. One, the idea of something protective, source energy, the divine masculine comes into play here. But this is also about recognizing the extent to which masculine power, masculine voices, masculine leadership in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's gotten tilted. It's gotten put into the hands of those who don't know how to cherish it, who don't know how to walk with it in integrity. But we're going to see more of that. And what's interesting here too is I've got that letter that I told you about, communications growing between us, between factions, between Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party, between all different races, between the Latinos and Hispanics, between those people who were swayed, Muslims and Palestinians, Arab Americans, etc. Those who were swayed and brought over into that Joe Rogan camp, all of that. They're going to realize the promises were empty. The words that they got, the messaging that they got was empty. It wasn't true. And so they're going to be ready for this new leadership, this emperor, this chariot. They're going to be ready for this new leadership that delivers something that feels more authentic and that comes across as genuine. And that because people need hope. People are not going to stay disengaged no matter what side of the spectrum they're on when their interests are on the line, when they need their money to pay their bills. The outgrowth and what's going to happen out of the Palisades and out of LA, like, woo, that's coming for months and months, and certainly over the course of the next couple of years, leading to 2026, then leading to 2028. Like, there is so much, Spirit is saying, that is coming down the tracks. And we have to be there ready with our hammer and nails, like ready to build, ready to build, ready to build. All right, that's it. Don't want to be too speechy. I just wanted to say thank you for being with me. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your tolerance. Thank you for your compassion, not just with me, but towards one another. Because one way or another, we are alive at this time in history. We're going to stay alive and we're going to thrive. It's a matter of just going through the motions, and staying engaged with one another. All right. That said, I also want to remind you all again, I am going to start a monthly spiritual politics, like a meetup. It's going to be private on Zoom because I recognize too that on public platforms like this, people get trolled. I certainly get, the nasty comments that I have to block, whatever. So I want to start a monthly group where people can show up. It's not going to be recorded. People can just show up and build some of the support that we're talking about, that Spirit talked about today. Build that, be that keeper of secrets and show up in our nobility and supporting one another with our ideas, treating it as a think tank, etc., and figuring out how we want to move forward at this point in time. All right, you all. Thank you again so much. I will check in with you all really soon. Put your black on, do blackout media, do whatever you have to do at this time. And I respect it. Just take really good care of yourselves, okay? We'll talk soon. Bye.